everybody. Welcome to All That Matters and More. My name is Kumiki, and guys, thank you so much for joining us again. The year just started, so I think it's going to be a very good, interesting, and exciting year. But before we dive right into it, just to quickly let you guys know that the content we will be providing today is for entertainment, educational, and informative purposes, and that the opinions and recommendations given by us should not be considered as medical or professional advice. Like I said, guys, it's going to be an exciting one. I have some really amazing people today to talk about a specific topic. Okay, so I think we're going to start on my right. And then, guys, just please introduce yourselves. Tell us who you are, a little bit about who you are if you want to, if you're not too shy, you know?
Yeah, sure. Hi, guys. My name is Tabiso. I am a biomedical scientist. I'm doing my honors in molecular medicine. But on the side, I do content creation, commentary, so... Yeah, Shem, I'm here. I'm at the mouth, definitely, yeah.
Okay, cool, we love it.
Yeah. Hi guys, I'm Katlaho. I'm a data scientist and I'm here today to engage in the conversation and hopefully learn something.
Okay, cool. And then, brother man?
Hi guys, I'm Sanele, also known as Deepest Magazine. Regular guy. I also do alternative music, and in my free time, I'm a freelance marketer.
Okay, cool. So obviously, guys, I think there is a lot going on, I think, besides South Africa, but growing up now just seems like it's a little bit like so weird for us, especially like our generation and our era, you know? And I think lately I've been talking to people a lot about relationships, you know, and how they're maneuvering, in relationships, you know, how they are experiencing relationships. And I think today we should definitely discuss toxic relationships versus mental health, okay? I think I should firstly say very candidly that if you're in a toxic relationship, probably your mental health is not that good, let's be honest. I don't know like whether it depends on the experience. I also think that in terms of your mental health, let's be honest, like right now, toxicness in a relationship, I think goes far beyond abuse.
Yeah.
I think right now, obviously we know the main ones, which is like verbal abuse or emotional abuse or physical abuse. But I think that there are so many underlying factors that we don't necessarily look at. That I don't know. Are we ignoring? Are we selfish going into a relationship? Is there something specific that, for example, like females would want more stability? So, for example, if a guy doesn't have money, then it's like, oh, like you know, you don't want to be with him. You know. So, have you guys been in a toxic relationship? Let's start there.
What should we start with?
Start with you.
Start with you. Yeah. I've been in a few, but I never really lasted that long.
Okay.
A few years ago. I would say the most toxic thing about those relationships there was just a misalignment of goals and where we wanted to go in life. I think the women I was dating before, they were more happy to not necessarily progress in life.
Okay.
And that came as a big hindrance in our relationship. So that's what causes some sort of like toxic relationship where people are trying to go in one direction and then someone just decides that they don't want to go in that direction anymore. And then it leads to like, you know, those petty fights. So I'm mentioning this because you're talking about how sometimes it's not the obvious stuff like abuse. And,
yeah.
So sometimes just not being on the same page starts all these fights. Then you guys are fighting about everything. Like you're fighting about why did you tie your shoelaces like that? It becomes like, you know, a bit like unnecessary, yeah. So that's just my experience.
Okay. But
Okay, me, input on that? Should I give my input on
Sure.
that?
Yeah, sure.
I just want to know a bit more about like what those discussions were, like what kind of things were you not necessarily aligning with regards to your partners?
I think maybe the first thing was just in terms of career. Like, you know, sometimes, you know, I work really hard. So maybe I blame myself for this one. I'll take responsibility here. But like I'm a very hard worker, so I spend a lot of time working and sometimes that affects the amount of quality time I could give my partners. But that works if you have a partner that is the same as you, that also works. Then you guys can balance each other's schedules out. But if my partner was maybe not working as hard as I was, she wouldn't really understand why I'm always busy. She would assume that maybe I'm just using work as an excuse to not see her. And that would obviously create all these fights. And that's why I said that it would lead to even like stupid fights about like anything. Like I would just not call at 8:30. I'll call at 8:31. Then it's like, where were you for the past minute? Yeah, so that's what happened.
So super attached, like you need to be there every single moment of the day kind of relationships.
Which just makes it very uncomfortable. Yeah.
And then mentally, what would that do to you? Because I can only imagine if you say you're uncomfortable. That's also like another problem now that you have to like deal with that you didn't have to before. So like mentally, like what did you think that could do to you potentially?
I mean, firstly, it makes you look at yourself. It makes you think, am I the bad guy? Maybe I should have called it 8:30, not 8:31. And you start like looking at your entire life and you start thinking that maybe your experiences throughout your entire life are impacting how you're feeling right now.
Yeah.
And then you even start worrying that you might not even find someone in the future because maybe this same curse is following you throughout life. It makes you just want to give up on love and relationships. Yeah. Makes you want to go back to the streets.
Not the streets.
I'm just saying, it makes you feel like you want to do that. But
because, it's so funny when you say that. My experience of being in a toxic relationship, guys, was so odd to me because I was so young and so naive.
Okay.
What age?
I literally was like fresh out of high school. I remember when I had met the guy, I literally was writing my matric. So he wasn't even that much older. I think he was maybe like 2 years older than I was. But then, I was writing my matric. So I'm like, okay, I'm writing my matric. We were together for a very long time. But what's so scary and so sad is that I only realize these things now that I'm older. And I'm just like, it's a bit scary because I'm like, now what if I married this person and we had children? Like, I would have resented him. Now my children would have been stuck in a whirlwind of mental illnesses. Because, how do I show you a healthy approach in being in a relationship, How do I show you how to be mentally strong with your partner or how to gauge that in a more healthier way when I couldn't even do it with your father? For me, it was the little things. Don't get me wrong. I think, and I could be wrong, when I was analyzing and sitting down, I think maybe his traumas just always got the best of him and he was somewhat in denial and he just necessarily don't want to deal with his traumas. Or I think what he did is that he did that thing where your body cannot take the trauma and then it just throws it in your subconscious. Yeah. And then as you live life, those things come out like bit by bit. So, but I'm like, to a certain extent as well, like, where do we draw the line? Like, where do we say, enough is enough? And when do we blame it on trauma? Because I also wanted to ask you guys, don't you think that a part of relationship toxicness could be traumas and specific triggers?
Yeah, yes, of course.
100%. Sometimes if you have to get to a point where you're a lot more aware.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the start of the healing. You also need to, if you understood these things from your partner, I just wanted to ask, did you sit down and speak to this person?
What the issue was? I was so young and I was so naive. Okay. And I think the good part about it is that now that I realize that I used to live so free, I was just like, well, he said that. It's okay. Yeah. We move on. But now that I'm older, I'm just like, it's not good.
Yeah. I think that's also something that needs to be addressed, the whole age dynamic. Because I'm hearing you say your story and I'm still thinking about how, despite you were in matric, you guys were still in very, very different parts of your life.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
When you're writing finals, he's maybe, second year dealing with things that you haven't even, dealt with. So I think that's definitely an issue as well.
And don't get me wrong, he really was a great guy. He was so sweet. I can genuinely tell, there are times where, he was genuinely, a sweet person. I'd sit there. But now that I'm older, and it sucks because I was so young. How do I sit down and I tell you, hey, you're dealing with trauma. And like you're saying, I was in matric. I was going to my first year. Life wasn't even that difficult. I still had mommy and daddy. I was just like, I have everything. And I guess, somewhat, I didn't have any worry. But it's scary a little bit because I'm also just like, are we educating ourselves quick enough, fast enough? You know what I'm saying? Education, in my opinion, it has no time frame. It has no age. I think right now with everything that's going on, we all need to be aware. And I also now sit down and I'm like, I have this thing where you can't contradict yourself. I can't say, I need to fix my mental health, and then you don't go do it. And then now I sit down with him and I tell him, hey, I've realized 1, 2, 3 about you. I think it is a trauma. It's a trigger. Where's it coming from? And then afterwards, I'm preaching that, but I don't want to go to therapy. I don't want to take care of myself. I, for example, have depression, but I'm not taking my antidepressants. I'm not exercising. I'm not doing what the doctor's doing, telling me to do in order for me to get better. So do you think we also contradict ourselves a little bit?
Yeah, always. What do you think?
I think we're still figuring it out, you know.
think
I
so?
think if you look at the older generation, I think for them stuff like mental health is just very taboo. Like I think none of us can say our parents willingly went to therapy to sort out the issues that they had. So I see our generation as like now taking all of the responsibility of having to now figure out how do we not only solve our parents' issues that have now trickled down to us, but how do we now also solve our own issues and move through life in a way that we cannot be toxic?
I think it also boils down to the accountability as well.
Yeah.
You know, I, for one, also used to go for therapy a lot, right? But there was a point in time where I knew and I understood that, look, I'm getting older, and a part of the fixing starts with self as well, you know? Because you can go to therapy, like, countless times, right? But once you leave that space, you're going home to do the work.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So it's things like that as well. Like, what do you do for yourself in order to move forward and in a healthier way? I'm not a professional, right? But based on my experiences with, you know, suicide and all that and whatnot, I did a lot of the work for myself because now I stay alone.
Yeah.
So when I went through something, even just like last year, when I went through something, there were certain things that I had to do in my own capacity to be a lot more healthy. So much so that at times when I cracked, I had to call up a friend to sleep at my space so that I don't do anything stupid.
I get you, yeah.
So it was just like having a crutch and also doing the work.
Yeah.
And finding ways to maneuver around that as well.
Did you have that support from your family and the people around you? Or was it
so I'm like 45 kilometers away from my family, right? And that's because of work. And even when I had conversations with them over the phone and stuff like that, it didn't really kick in because in the context of like black culture as well, we don't really take it as serious. Do you understand? So when they heard me say things like that, also considering my age, they were like, no, you need to man up. You understand? So it was very painful. This is why I had to resort in calling a friend and saying, look, Shadi, please come to my spots. I'm not feeling okay.
But that's a very good point. You know, you said you have to man up. I think that is manning up. I think manning up is being able to say, listen, I'm not able to do this. Someone please come and help me.
100%.
A lot of the times what I've picked up is we think man up means go in a corner and don't tell anyone what's going on.
100.
Yeah. And I think you've also been very fortunate to be able to go to therapy because that's one of the institutions where you get taught to look at yourself and look at the things that you've been doing to improve yourself. Because, I mean, if you go on Google right now and you check what people are posting there, or like in terms of like replies, whether it's like Reddit or any sort of forum, if you ask about relationship advice, it's always about what is your partner doing wrong. It's never about what am I doing wrong. You know, we hardly ever get information about where we're going to go wrong. So it's about what other people are doing wrong. And I think that's why in your experience, you probably thought this partner of mine is 100% wrong. And you're trying to like show him everything. But on your side, you're not even looking at what you're doing wrong because no one has actually taught you to say, wait, look in the mirror. Yeah.
And like I was saying, I was like, going back to it, I was so naive. Like I was like, you know, when like he would say some of the most silliest things where if like you would say to me now, I'd be like, no, like
Can we get an example? I just want like one little, just one glimpse into what he would say.
What was the worst one ever? I think for me, the worst one ever is that, and I'm going to be extremely candid, guys.
It's cool.
Let it out.
I literally,
Let it out.
I'm wearing a push-up bra now, okay? I read up on illusions, okay? Because up here, it's not giving what it's supposed to give, but you use illusions, you know? Like there's a lot of things that we do to enhance specific parts, okay? Like, that's what I've always known, okay? I've always had a behind, but in the front, I suck. You know, so the one time I remember we were sitting there and he was like, can't remember, we were talking about something so silly, but he's like, so what is your type? And I'm like, dog, like, I'm already with my type. Like, I don't know why I'm like sitting here. And then he was like, yeah, a girl that has like very nice boobs and like a nice ass. And I'm like, oh shit, like
now you're insecure.
I don't have boobs. Like, it's just sucked. And then, I mean, obviously there are times as well, once again, I'm going to get really candid, where we will obviously be, when it was time for us to have sex, like, now I was scared to even like take off my bra or take off what I'm wearing, like in terms of like my upper part, or sometimes where I would want to and he would like say, no, we're not doing that today. And it just seemed like it was only when he felt like it was okay. But like I said, I was so naive then, I really didn't think about it. Now I'm going to be like, listen here.
Yeah.
You're not going to take the back, you're taking the front as well.
Period.
Okay, you're taking everything of me, and if you're not, unfortunately, then it's not going to work out, you know? And I think also there was a lot of traumas that I guess to a certain extent was dealing with.
Yeah.
Things, unfortunately, in my life that have completely changed my life, that I also didn't want to necessarily, obviously, man up about. And I think sometimes, like, when you are in a toxic relationship, I think as well, like, we don't necessarily take the other person's hand, even if something is wrong, you know? Like, we don't take their hand to be like, it's toxic, but I need help, you know? We
What
don't
do you mean
have
their hand?
like, you're not taking your partner's hand to be like, I know we are in a toxic space right now, but I need help. Like, I'm not okay.
Okay.
You know, like, I'm just not okay, even though the relationship is toxic. Like,
Are you saying that you're not okay with the relationship?
no,
Or
I'm
you're
saying
not-
that, for example, we don't necessarily, like, let's say you do need help. I know with depression, specifically, and suicide, there are some times where you physically, like, you need somebody to be there, or else you're going to take your life, or else it gets to a point where it's really bad. You don't even wake up, you don't wash for days, you literally just sleep. Somebody has to even come and open the curtains for you to be like, no, but honestly, like, get up. So even if you are in a toxic relationship as well, like, why aren't we forcing our partners? I'm so sorry, I know force may be a little bit harsh, but take your partner's hand. Be like, I know it's toxic, but listen here, I need help.
But isn't it because you don't feel safe with your partner?
But
that
you still
don't?
do it. That's why I said force.
I think that's where communication comes in. And I don't think a lot of people can do that. You know, I think they stay in their bubble and they act toxic. And then suddenly a big situation happens and then you guys break up. And then down the line you find out, oh no, daddy issues, mommy issues, you know. So people don't communicate enough that, yo, I'm still a work in progress. Because I think we're all a work in progress. You know, no one's
100%.
perfect.
110%,
All relationships can be amazing. I've been in healthy relationships. I've been in toxic relationships. And the one thing that I was taught from my mom, she's a single parent, right? The one thing I was taught by my mom is patience and understanding. That's why when I get into a relationship, I don't get in for love. I get in for understanding. Because love, I've seen people who've been married for so many years and still went through a divorce and they still loved each other. But when you come into a space of understanding, it's a lot more different. You understand?
Love is not enough.
You understand? And I believe in love. Yes, I do believe in love, but love does not hold that relationship. I think the understanding, and this encompasses everything in all its four corners. How do you speak to your person about mental health? How do you speak to yourself about mental health? How do you understand what I'm saying?
I hear you, And then, Tabi?
Okay, my thoughts on...
Just effectively, like, are we effectively communicating?
I don't think so. Like, we're really not. I think a lot of our generation, I think there's just a lot going on with us in general, and rightfully so, because I think a lot of us are the trailblazers generation. We're the first ones doing a lot of things in our families. So I think for us, when it comes to relationships, I think people are too busy, you know. Like he said, a lot of people are not going into relationships with understanding, but they're just going with the idea of falling in love, you know, the romantic idea that love is that 1 second I see you and I'm in love with you. Suddenly everything else is okay. And it's like, you need that understanding. You need to be able to take the time to understand that this is a whole human being, maybe a good 20 years before they existed, and all of those years have built them into being who they are right now. You know, you can't just come through and have the love change them, or have certain things just not be an issue. You know, you need to know what you're getting yourself into. So I think a lot of people don't, not at all.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying. I think the communication is very poor. I mean, I think we've all experienced how poor the communication can be. But I also think the expectations that are being, I don't know, like, I don't want to say propagated, but I would say they are propagated, that there's a certain image that you need to go for. Like, you were talking about, like your body type and your partner not being happy with your body type. And when he said he wants a girl that looks in a particular way, it sounded like as if he was speaking from another person's mind, but he was just like the mouthpiece. Like it wasn't really what he wanted. It's just what he thought would be the right thing to say. Yeah, because what is like the right body type? I mean, maybe there's one that people can say is the best, but there isn't actually one that is the best for each and every person. And that person was probably just saying what he thought had to be said, and to try and validate maybe his feelings, but not even realizing that he himself is just not even, perfect himself. He's also like flawed, and he can work on himself. And if he just sat down with you and talked to you about like real topics, then maybe he wouldn't be so focused on things that are superficial.
And 9 times out of 10, like when people settle down in relationships, they're not with their type. I fell in love with somebody who was not my type.
That one is
who was not my type. But
Too real.
how the relationship went, and this is why I spoke about understanding how the relationship went. It was perfect. I used to be so picky with women before. Oh, this and this and this and this. And then I'm like, but the other pieces don't make sense. Do you understand? And this is why guys, don't date your type. Don't
How
date your
dare
type.
you?
Please don't date your type. If you want a long, healthy relationship, date someone who's going to fully understand you.
But then that's your type then.
That is
not
your
a
type.
I think that is a type.
I think a type is more physical.
It's
than,
subjective.
Because I also wanted to say what Sanela was saying, right? I think that also like not a tremendous amount, but there's a specific amount of toxicness that comes from, like you guys are saying, like now you look a certain type of way. I needed to look a certain type of way. But if we had actually, maybe because he was a little bit older, if he had sat down to be like, these are the conversations that we need to start having, I would have maybe woken up then to be like, oh, I can't be naive all the time. Like these things are happening. Do you get what I'm saying? Like we need to understand. Or maybe as well, like I didn't communicate it and I didn't listen to my body then. And I'm also very big on energies. So if something was off, I should have been like, the one time you literally said this, and in a proper setting without shouting, when we're just sitting laughing, and I could have just been like, the one time you said this, and I didn't like it. You know? And the reason why I don't like it is because I like you so much. And it's pointless for you to tell me that I'm beautiful and yes, I have a nice body, but then you contradict yourself and you say something completely different. So it's also like, now I don't know where I stand with you. Do you get what I'm saying? Now it also puts pressure on me, like, I need a breast augmentation, for example. I need a breast augmentation. I'm still young. Where am I going to get the money for that? I'm going to ask my parents. My parents are going to be like, my mom is going to look at me and say, if you are with this person and you have to change yourself so drastically, like, why are you with this person?
Exactly.
It's just going to have massive implications on you. And then now I'm older. What if I don't even want this breast augmentation?
So the reason I was talking about the type thing is sometimes the relationship gets centered in the type. Even like you yourself, you start wondering, like, am I the right type for my partner? But then you forget that your partner might be looking at you in a different way. You might have your insecurities and you're trying to like you're trying to build yourself up to be this perfect person, but your partner's like, I already find you okay. Or even if the opposite happens and your partner complains about the way you look or whatever, I don't think that your partner is there for a relationship. They're there for
the wrong reasons.
They're there to like post on social media. Like
it's shallow.
It's so shallow. It's
shallow.
I think I kind of want to see where you guys are going with it. Is this also like what is the role that money plays? Because I think I'm hearing a little bit of how that could maybe have played a role in your situation.
Money does play a role in the sense that
a big one.
It does play a big role.
A big one. We should not shy away from that. It plays.
But I think that, you know what? I think there's just some things that I agree with you, right? But I think somebody woke up one day and manipulated our minds. There's just some things that are happening in the world that are unexplainable. Like, where do we learn certain things? Do you get what I'm saying? I think a lot of it plays with social media. Social media has a massive impact on our lives, And I think that the money thing, I'm not saying that I don't know how we are taught in our households in terms of that. Maybe it could come from that. We don't know. I've literally had experiences and heard certain stories where Or I've just like noticed and experienced, like seen certain things where there's just some girls there, I'm so sorry. Like because maybe daddy is rich and daddy can give me whatever I want, I'm not going to be with a bum. I'm like, that's just how, you can even tell them and they'll tell you, I'm so sorry. I'm just like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think the money thing.
Why you
at the bum?
Like
I'm not
I can
gonna
see
lie,
the
I
corner of my eye
stand with them a
laughing.
little bit. Just a little bit.
Okay, why do you stand with them?
Why do you
Let's
stand
say
with them?
you're-
Yes.
Yeah.
I think, like we said, love is not enough. Definitely not enough. So I think a lot of the times the romantic idea that we have of love is the issue. You know, you think you can get into a relationship and then suddenly you're talking about bills with
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
who
Yeah.
you thought the love was gonna be enough.
Yeah.
Like it was rose-colored glasses. We loved each other. We were good. But now when the real conversations come in,
Yeah.
and I think I remember someone mentioning it as financial chemistry as well. You need to have
Yeah.
financial chemistry with your
Yeah,
partner.
100.
If
What?
you're a
Are you
big
serious?
spender, you can't get with
But-
someone that is
But
like,
here's the thing,
you
though.
can't
Not a
take
big-
now, man.
Wait.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though. I completely stand with it, right?
Yeah.
But there has to be a condition to it. If you yourself can afford that lifestyle, not being financed by daddy and
Yeah,
mommy,
yeah.
then you stand.
Okay, I hear
You
you.
stand to
Okay.
say, I can do this for myself, right? Therefore, I need somebody who can, right?
Definitely.
Then it's fair. But if you're being supported and you want all of, and I know I'm going to be shut on for this, but if you're being supported, then I don't think you have any, grounds to stand on to say that, no, I'm this and this, and when you can't even afford that yourself.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Okay. So I think like in terms of, we have to wrap it up, guys.
Okay, cool.
But I think just if there's one positive thing that you've obviously taken away from your toxic relationship, okay, what would it be in case somebody's sitting there and they're like, oh, I identify with Komiki or Katleho or Tabi or Sanele. What's the, just like, even if it's just like a short sentence, something very positive that you can take away? Oh, let's start with my...
Oh, with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
For me,
Don't be broke. I'm playing.
no. Yes,
Wow.
but, but please don't fall in love with potential. I've just learned that like you need to meet someone where they're at. Like so many times I met someone and I thought, you know what, let's give him a good 6 months, let's
Yeah.
give him a good year. And things just didn't change, you know? So I think just meeting people where they're at in terms of their mental health, finances, everything,
Yeah.
you know, all you can do is choose your partner and love them for who they are.
Thank you.
Thank you. I like that.
Beautiful, yeah.
I love that.
So sort of what you said, but I think whatever you see in your partner when you meet them, that's probably who they're gonna be. So if there's red flags, they're not going anywhere. They're gonna just become more red. Yeah.
Not even like a spot of green.
Yeah, think about it,
maybe?
right? If someone has a red flag when you meet them, that's
Yeah.
them at their best behavior. So into the relationship, when they become relaxed, they're gonna get worse. So that's what I've learned from
Yeah.
toxic relationships. If you
Okay.
see a red flag in the beginning, just walk away.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think for me, just communication. It is so key. If you cannot communicate, get out of there.
Yeah.
I think for me, yeah, just communicate your feelings and your thoughts, you know. Good perspective on that one. I think majority of the time, because I was so young and naive, I didn't necessarily look at what I was doing wrong. And maybe there
Yeah.
were so many times where he was screaming and saying, hey, pay more attention to me, or this is that I didn't pay attention. That, yeah, it didn't get to the point where it needed to. Great guy. I hope he's healing where he is. But I think communication is so key. You have to communicate with your partner. For me, it's so big. You can learn a lot with just communicating.
Yeah,
100%.
So yeah, just communicate with your partner. Talk about things. Like, don't be afraid to talk about things, guys. I always say, the more uncomfortable it is, the better.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because then it just means that you guys are getting to a level where you, can get to a point where you're talking.
I would say the first thing is to do the groundwork. Love yourself completely. And loving yourself means that you should be in a space where even when your partner's not there, you should be okay.
Yeah.
You should be okay. Because once you're okay with you, a lot of the things you won't come across, you won't fight, you won't have also have principles and values, and always understand that things change. I personally, I'm so sorry. I personally feel that all my exes are amazing. I think right now as it is, they're probably better people, and I can't hold them to their past because that would be selfish on my end. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
And I've changed as well. I believe that if any of my exes have to come back, we'd have like the most amazing relationship, right?
Hundreds.
Yeah.
You understand? Because we've done the groundwork and all that jazz. And also in going forward, just have a lot more grace, have a lot more, love and understanding.
Yeah, yeah.
And because people change, guys. People change.
Yeah.
So that's it from us, guys. So Instagram, guys, matters and more _ I actually have been forgetting the underscore, so it is there. TikTok as well, we are there, matters and more. And then, guys, if you also want to email us for anything, if you want to come on the show, interesting topics, our email address is imatterandmore@gmail.com. And yeah, that's it from us.